Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. The show today will be JC kicking it off here in just a minute, followed by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com, get his thoughts on the Gainesville Regional that didn't go so well. But first, just so you know, there's a lot of stuff happening right. We're having to tape this show because I had to travel. So if we don't answer your Facebook questions, that's why. But we wanted to put a show out there to recap the weekend. But let's go to the Titan MR hotline. And we're going to be joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Good. Interesting weekend for sure. Don't really know what to say other than what's obvious with what happened here in Gainesville with the baseball team. And it just seems to have it just never really got off to a good start when we heard that the first game would be 12 o'clock noon on Friday.
Yeah, but listen.
I know. I'm making a point. I'm just saying nothing went well. Nothing went well is all I'm trying to say.
As whoever the host of the regional is, chooses when they're going to play the first game. If you noticed, every other SEC school that hosted, when did they play? They played the late game. And I am so mad at myself because on Twitter, there's usually these people that give you all these great stats, and I usually screenshot them, and then we talk about them. Right. Well, I'm going to I didn't screenshot this one, and I'm mad. I forgot. But it showed the attendance at every regional. And it said that the Gainesville regional is right around 3,000, 3,300. I don't buy it.
No,
everywhere else,
I don't either.
Everywhere else, JC, was between 8,000 and 14,000 people.
Yeah, no, I just think it was just bad decisions.
Here's people.
It was a bad decision to play.
Too bad we ain't live today, because here's the thing.
Okay,
I don't think that baseball stadium will ever be filled like other SEC stadiums. I really don't. That's my personal opinion.
The University of Florida bid on a regional because they wanted to host. All right. They made a calculated error by choosing to play at 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday with 92 degrees, a chance of rain, and people working. You should play that game at 5. But regardless, the way they played, it's almost a good thing nobody showed up. I mean, this team essentially just was a zombie this weekend and got beat by two teams they should be able to beat with their eyes closed. I mean, South Florida and South Alabama. South Alabama had 10 consecutive hits in the 6th inning. It almost felt as if
that inning almost lasted an hour.
It was ridiculous. This was a horrible, horrible weekend. And yes, I know Coach O'Sullivan is disappointed. Everybody's disappointed. But I just can't believe the way it went. And it just reminded me of how unfortunate the softball regional went for the Gators, not scoring a run against Georgia. It reminded me of the Cotton Bowl with a football team that had half its players and didn't really need to be there. It just reminded me that, the season ends, and when it ends like that, you're just kind of left throwing your arms up in the air and asking, what the heck just happened? What did I just watch?
Well, look, softball made it to a super regional, so you can't compare those. You can't compare.
It's still
my point about the baseball stadium. It is wonderful. It is wonderful, but we sat and we have done radio for the last 5-10 years. Yeah. And everybody talked about we need to build a new facility that has shade and people will come. Right. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the top 2 attendance draws at the University of Florida in athletics are football and women's softball. Basketball, nobody shows up either. Nobody shows up for basketball.
That's fine. I'm not going to get the fans right now are the last thing I'm going to really be concerned about when it comes to regional. It's not so much
fans. I'm talking about everybody talked about the baseball team played horrible. There's no excuse for it. But my point is, we just built a $60 million facility. Okay,
Yes.
Everybody talked about. How many times did you hear people say they're not going to go to games because there's no shade?
Right.
Everybody said that.
Well,
there's plenty of shade and nobody's going, is my point.
Well, again, I would be willing to bet that once we've allowed for the ballpark to be full, we would have obviously more fans than what we saw this season.
It was allowed for a regional.
No, I'm saying I'm talking about during the whole season.
I still disagree with that. I still don't think.
Well, you're telling me you don't think there'd be more fans?
There would be a few more, but my point is we are not going to have fan attendance and the atmosphere that they have in Oxford, Mississippi, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Starkville, Mississippi. It ain't going to happen.
I would say that.
Because what makes the atmosphere? What makes the atmosphere at those games?
The outfield, the
student body for the most part.
Student body and everything.
I bet there wasn't one damn student at that game.
Well, remember, school is out for the most part right now.
School's out at those places.
But it's true. But those places don't have the student body that this school has. And many of these kids are from out of town that go to this school. But
so you think everybody that goes to Mississippi State and Ole Miss and Arkansas live in those towns?
These are much smaller schools, Shane. These are much smaller schools, and they have probably on a relative basis, on a percentage basis. I mean, I have no idea right now, but I would say that their per capita student body
the kids
from
still
that
live 6 or 7.
is larger.
They still live
than
6 or 7 hours away. 5, 6, 7 hours away.
Okay. All this being said, they should have at least 5,000 or 6,000 fans for a baseball game or a regional. There was nowhere near that, and they used to have. Listen, they had 5,000 fans at McKeithen Stadium from time to time during the season in the past. They have Florida State, Miami, but I will tell you that this regional was an abject failure because these guys chose to play at a very inopportune time, and I thought it was a poor decision, just poor.
Well, I'm still here to say that softball will draw more people from here on out than baseball will. It's just a fact. I was concerned when they built the new facility. They needed it, but you're not going to have the atmosphere that we need to have for whatever reason. Okay, enough of that. Pretty much. Well, some of the SEC schools, as we speak, are moving on. I know Mississippi State's not going to play their game until today. This is Monday. Ole Miss is playing as we speak. They're playing Southern Miss. So it's kind of weird here since we're taping the show. But it was not
Alabama.
A good weekend.
Alabama was eliminated by Louisiana Tech, and that's the only school that I know of as of where I'm sitting right now.
South Carolina by Virginia.
They were eliminated by Virginia. Okay. Yeah.
But everybody else, as we speak, is still playing.
The best team in baseball right now is the one in Arkansas, if you ask me. And I would say that they'll likely be one of the 8 teams that go to Omaha. I think Vanderbilt will. And, we'll see about one of those Mississippi teams.
Yeah. Well, I just know I saw a lot of people complaining. Why would you go watch a baseball team if they're going to perform like that? That's not the point. Even when Ole Miss and those squads were not very good, there's a lot of damn people at their baseball games. So anyway.
It's a big thing to do there, and it just seems to have more interest. There's no doubt about that. But I think Florida, once given the opportunity to have a full stadium throughout the season, you'll see higher attendance figures.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say next year that they're going to average about 3,500 people, maybe, at baseball games. It's crazy when Arkansas averaged 14,000 people every game.
Yeah, that's Fayetteville. Fayetteville.
Fayetteville ain't much different than Gainesville is my point.
Well, it's smaller. And there's less, I guess, to keep you busy there. Maybe I'm wrong about this.
What else is there to do in Gainesville in a college town? Is my point.
Well, you could go to that new restaurant everybody's all excited about.
It ain't open yet. Yeah, you act like this is a metropolitan city. We're not north. This isn't Northwestern. We're not in Chicago. It irritates me.
It irritates me, QB.
Yeah. So also softball. there is no better event than the College Women's World Series. If you have not been, you need to go. And every game there is drama.
How about that Montana Fouts and that perfect game, first one since 2000. And I'll tell you, UCLA bowed out unmercifully as well, getting smoked by Alabama, and then the next day getting hammered by Oklahoma. I think James Madison's had a good run, but I think Oklahoma's going to get in the finals, and they're going to face either Alabama or FSU, and I hope it's Alabama.
Yeah, as we're recording, they're supposed to be playing those elimination
weather delays
games tonight, but there's talk that they're going to move them to Monday and then move the championship series to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Which, first of all, the scheduling for the Women's College World Series, they need to reevaluate it, JC, because they start on Thursday and they try to get the whole tournament, 8 teams, done by Sunday night. And then start the series on Monday.
It's tough.
Well, the college baseball World Series has 8 teams, and it goes on about 2.5 weeks.
Well, it takes longer because of pitching. That's the first reason. The second reason is
but my point is,
these games are longer, and so
I understand that. But why, with all you're going to have delays, games can go into extra innings. Why they don't spread it out for a couple more days makes absolutely no sense. The games did not end until 2:30. Eastern time.
That's unforgivable. And then you had to get these girls up to go get COVID tested in the morning. I mean, it's really the NCAA. Sometimes I really just don't think they could care. They could not care less in many cases for these athletes. They just say, well, listen, these are 19, 20, and 21-year-olds. We're not worried about them. And you raised the point about the NCAA's basketball tournament, March Madness, and some of those ridiculous start times. And then we have, Florida State playing a softball game at 2:30 in the morning. None of this is good. I don't. But this is how it's done, and I think they could definitely reevaluate that for sure.
Yeah, they just make it like a 5 or 6 day event, and instead of trying to cram it all into 3 days. Speaking with JC here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, refresh your vehicle with a brand. I can't read. With a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. June is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane to receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. JC on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline will be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Get his thoughts on the Gainesville Regional. And as we speak here, we don't even know who's going to win it. It's between South Florida and South Alabama. And as we were taping this, South Alabama was ahead of South Florida.
4-0. And they're in a rain delay. So, but QB, another thing happened on Sunday that was sad to see, for me, was poor old Lexi Thompson. She is playing in the U.S. Women's Open. She is the golden child of American female golf. She has a 5-stroke lead after 8 holes. She then goes and shoots a 75 and completely gagged on 17 and 18. She hit a putt on 17 that was so bad for par from about 5 feet, maybe 6, that it reminded me of what I watched out here at Hawkstone on a Saturday morning at an MGA event. It was so bad. And then she, of course, plays a 315-yard par 4, the finishing hole at the Olympic Club, hits a nice 4-iron off the tee box, but then just fats a wedge shot into the impossible bunker in front of the green, ends up making a bogey. And her putt for the tie to get into the playoff didn't even get to the hole. She had nothing to lose, and she couldn't get a downhill putt to the hole. This poor girl just let it get to her. And when you shoot 66 on Saturday and 75 on Sunday, you're not ready to win a championship. That's too bad.
It's a shame. I'll watch some of that as well. If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. Not surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call today at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Speaking with JC, and again, I'm sure I'm getting hammered about the attendance.
It's true. There wasn't.
It's true. It has nothing to do with the way they've played all year or any of that stuff. I just personally don't think we're ever going to have more than 3,000 people on an average basis at those baseball games. Just my personal opinion. JC, you're speaking about golf.
Yeah,
I want to get your thoughts on John Rahm.
That's another thing that just broke my heart over the weekend watching sports was John Rahm basically had the memorial in his back pocket. He was going to win it. And they said he couldn't play because of COVID. I disagreed with that decision. I think he could have carried his own bag and played. I think they could have absolutely let him play. He was asymptomatic. And I think they could have done something better than kick him out.
I know the PGA Tour has protocol and all that stuff, but here's the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
They tested him
on Monday.
They tested him several days. Okay. But my point is
contact tracing.
Right. Okay. But my point is they knew about it. And then they come tell him after he played 18 holes
in front of the camera and everybody, But as you just said, he just played with those guys. Yeah.
In that
and
group.
That caddy. Yeah.
And the caddy. So why he couldn't go play by himself makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. And, good for Patrick Cantlay. I mean, he's about as exciting to watch as a grasshopper sitting on your stoop. But I think, John Rahm's, that was his tournament to win. And he would have, in my mind. And I think, it's just a shame. He said all the right things afterwards, but you could just see the anguish on his face when he was told. And it happened because when he tested positive a few days after he tested negative, the contact tracing revealed that he had been around some folks who questioned whose health was in question. It's too bad. It's unfortunate. I don't think he would have posed any threat or danger to anybody playing that final round. And like I said, he could have carried his own bag and done it himself.
Well, he could have gone with his caddy. His caddy's with him. It's like,
he could have. Let the caddy wear the mask or whatever. Let him play and wear the damn mask. But to kick him out like that, it was a shame. Those are the rules, though, and that's the way it is. And many people will disagree with our feelings on this, but I think he should have been able to finish.
And I want to say, if I heard them correctly, he has to be quarantined until like a day before the U.S. Open. So does that mean he can't go practice? He has. It's almost like they locked him in a room up in, in Dublin, Ohio, where Deerfield Village is?
Yeah. I'm sure where he lives that he is in close proximity to practice facilities and he'll be able to hit balls if he's by himself. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't think because you have COVID, you are banned to your house. But I do think that it's just a shame because this guy, it's just a shame. And, good for Patrick Cantlay. He deserved to win. He made a great putt on 17. Morikawa followed him with a great putt to stay tied. And then on the final hole in sudden death, he hit the one way right into the deep rough where his ball was 5 feet, it seemed, above his feet. And he still managed to get the ball to the green and got up and down out of the bunker. A great par to finish, and Morikawa made bogey. So he deserved to win. But John Rahm was going to win that tournament. We all know.
Yeah, and if you missed the NBA playoffs, the Nets win Game 1 against the Bucks. James Harden's out for a while with a hamstring hurt in like the first minute of the game. Your Atlanta Hawks, JC.
The Hawks.
Your Hawks beat the 76ers.
The Hawks.
And then the Clippers closed out the Dallas Mavericks, and so they move on. So
really strange series. Strange series there, QB, where in that Clippers-Mavericks series, the home team lost every game except the last one.
Yeah. I want to go back to the college women's college World Series.
Okay.
JMU obviously is the Cinderella story. Their pitcher, Odyssey, I can't remember her last name. She made one of the greatest athletic plays I've ever seen to win that game. I think it was against, was it Oklahoma State? Or was it?
Yeah.
Or was it? I don't know if you saw it. It was on a squeeze play.
Maybe it was Georgia.
No. They beat Oklahoma and Oklahoma State.
Okay, sorry.
It was against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, she tagged the person out at home. Listen, James Madison's a great story. Oklahoma's just got too much firepower. They're going to go to the finals. They're going to play Alabama or FSU.
They're going to play Alabama. As we sit here, we don't know who's going to be because of the rain delays and all that stuff. But I would think Oklahoma's going to get the best of JMU again.
Me too.
But you never know. You
never know. That's true. Listen, JMU was down 3-0, hit a 3-run home run to tie it, but then couldn't get away from Oklahoma's offense in the 7th inning, I guess it was, and they go up 6-3 to win. So, weather's just part of this time of year, and certainly Yeah, I think you're right. They could have definitely spread it out a little bit more so these girls didn't have to stay up for 24 hours. That's crazy.
Yeah, JC, what do you think? A little new NFL news: Julio Jones being traded to the
Titans. Julio Jones is a guy who had 3 touchdowns last year. He was not a factor. He played 9 games. He has a problem with injuries. He's in his 30s, but if he stays healthy, going up on the other side of who's the other Tennessee wide receiver who's great? Brown. A.J.
Brown.
A.J. Brown. Those 2 guys, if they're healthy, it's going to give Tennessee, with that running back there, a lot of offensive firepower. And I think that's a good trade for Tennessee. They really didn't have to give up anything to Atlanta, maybe a 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. So here we have the Falcons trading Sanu and Jones for just about nothing, maybe a 2nd-round pick each time. And I think the team that's getting Julio Jones is going to be better for it. So maybe my Jags won't beat them.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about that? What about that defense that you're praising in Jacksonville?
Well, it's going to have a problem if Jones is healthy on the other side of Brown. Gee whiz. I mean, that team.
You're going to take the under win total now?
No, I'm staying with over, but Tennessee has got a lot of offense. It looks very good for Tennessee.
Yeah, they
will score a lot of points.
They should. I think of Tennessee, I don't know what they did. Defensively, they weren't great at times.
No, they weren't.
I really don't know anybody on their defensive side of the ball. But, yeah, the Titans, they could make some noise this year for sure. All right, so as we sit here, JC, before I let you go, we think it's going to be Alabama and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to do what Florida State did a couple years ago coming out of the losers bracket.
Yeah, and we said that could happen the day after they lost to JMU just because of how good offensively they are, and they are the team to beat. But if this Montana Fouts is as unhittable as she looked the other night against UCLA, Oklahoma won't beat them. Alabama's got enough offense to win that, and Fouts can throw 2 games or 3 games if she has to. The other pitcher Alabama has, Guilfoyle, is very good as well. So we're pulling for the SEC here. At least I know I am. And we'll see if they can do it. I'm curious
why Montana Fouts. I know she tried out for the Olympic team, but she didn't make it.
Yeah.
Whereas,
I don't know.
There was a couple of girls from UCLA that made it.
Yeah,
the pitcher Rachel Garcia. She's been the National Player of the Year for about 2 or 3 times, or 2 or 3 years, I should say. But I don't know how Montana Fouts didn't make it. She's as good a pitcher as I've ever seen in college.
She's really, really good. That rise ball, it just is really disguised, and that perfect game is the highlight of this World Series thus far, other than James Madison's win against Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was dramatic.
That was very dramatic.
Stuff. All right, JC. Before I let you go, this day in sports, which is brought to you by Comfort Temp. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp is now hiring team members with all levels of experience, great culture, and benefits and opportunity for growth. $1,000 sign-on bonus for qualified positions. Call today to learn more about a career with Comfort Temp. 352-376-2366. This day in sports, JC, I got a hockey one for you.
Oh.
You didn't give us a hockey update. You'll have to do that after I read this. This day in sports, and this is amazing. I knew how great he was, but I didn't realize this. In 1989, Wayne Gretzky wins his 9th NHL Hart Trophy, which is for the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
In 10 years. He won it 9 out of 10 years.
Dang. Yeah. Wow.
Did you know that?
Wow. No, I didn't. Well, it doesn't surprise me. It also doesn't surprise me that Tampa Bay is up 3-1 on Carolina, scored 6 goals in game 5. Boston and New York tied 2-2. Vegas gets a win at Colorado. Avs are up 2-1. And Montreal looks to close out Winnipeg. So Canada has allowed for the hockey teams to travel to Canada. As you know, the Blue Jays of Toronto play in Buffalo for their home games. Canada is a closed country, but for the hockey playoffs, American teams or American teams, I guess, are going to be able to travel to Canada. And that's going to either be Vegas or Colorado playing at either Montreal or Winnipeg. Looks like Montreal. So
let me ask you this real quick. Mm-hmm. Since they had the whole country closed, did the Canadian teams ever fly? They played the American teams, right? The teams in the U.S., right? During the regular season?
No, they did not. They stayed in Canada.
So you're telling me like the Winnipeg Jets and the Canadians, They only played each other the whole year?
You had East and West. You had the Canucks, the Flames, the Oilers, the Jets, the Maple Leafs, the Ottawa Senators, and the Montreal Canadiens play each other all year.
I did not realize that.
That's crazy. And that's how it was. And they called that the North Division. And I mean, this is Canada, man. You know,
I did not realize that they never left the country.
Canada. But no, they stayed there the whole season. And either Montreal or Winnipeg, looks like Montreal, will be traveling to either Colorado or Vegas to wrap up that side of the playoffs to face either Tampa, Carolina, Boston, or New York.
Interesting. I learned something today.
There it is. Absolutely.
All right, JC.
Crazy.
All right, we'll talk to you on Wednesday, and we'll have a live show, and we'll know what's going on in the sports world.
Okay, I got you. We got it, man.
All right. That's JC. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We come back, we're going to be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Get his thoughts on Florida baseball and the Gainesville Regional. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Le Macaron, French Pastries, Kilwins, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Advisors Tailgate, and Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. Not a whole lot celebrating this weekend. We're going to head to the Titan MR hotline now. We're going to be joined by senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. Good morning, Scott. How are you, my man?
Hey, Shane. Good morning. You're right, man. Not a lot of celebrating over there, and tough weekend for the Gators and their fans.
Well, I did tell people that I had JC on earlier that we were taping this because I had to be out of town. So there's still a lot of games that are still in question as we speak. But, Scott, let's go back. I don't know what to say. It was hard to watch. It looked like a team that didn't have a lot of fire, looked like they didn't want to be there, because I watch a lot of college baseball regionals when you get home and on TV, and the atmosphere is just different everywhere else. It was like almost everybody was like sleepwalking.
Well, I think, when you look at, and I've seen that kind of sentiment shared a lot on, obviously social media, a few emails. And, I think those noon starts are tough. I mean, I know they're tough for the fans, because the first game was Friday at noon, a work day. And then I think most people probably figured, okay, maybe we'll catch them on Saturday because they'll be playing the late game. Well, obviously that didn't happen. And by the time Saturday afternoon came around, Gators were already done. As far as the performance on the field, I mean, yeah, it certainly left something to be desired. I mean, you know, it's been a hard team to read all year, Shane. Obviously, the first thing that I always tell people, I mean, I knew they were overrated at the start of the year, so they got attached as being the consensus number one team. And really that was based on 17 games they played last year. Mm-hmm. So I think some of the perception right now as we're speaking about the failure of this team, I think most of it's attributed to the fact that they were ranked number one with such a short sample size last year before the SEC season even started. So that's my defense of some of it. But on the other side, it was just a team that I think even Kevin O'Sullivan had a hard time figuring out throughout the year. I mean, he's talked about how much he had to tinker with this team. I mean, he changed more, he changed the starting rotation. He tried different guys in different spots. And I think for him, you look at his career, he hasn't had to do that as much as this team, certainly not in recent years. So, and then, of course, they get to the biggest point of the season, and, they had that nice little run at the SEC tournament. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe they turned a little corner. Maybe the light went off. Maybe they'll advance, and maybe they'll play their best ball in the postseason. Just didn't happen. And, Sully really didn't have any answers after the game yesterday other than, we got beat bad. I mean, what can you say when you lose 19-1? He said he wanted to reflect, and it kind of just – he's going to meet with the team again Tuesday for the final time. And I don't know what that means between now and then, if he's going to really do a hard study or if he's just kind of ready to move on and look toward the future, because season ended prematurely. I think to me, Shane, the whole, if you want to break it down in a baseball, they did lack some fire. I think they lacked those natural leaders who teams rally around. And I think they have a couple of young guys like Nathan Hickey and Jacob Young who are good at that, but I don't think they had enough of them from their key guys. And that's just, it showed up at the end.
You talked about the noon game, Scott. I saw where Mississippi State decided, because of the atmosphere, they played the late game. Arkansas played the late game. Ole Miss played the late game because they have wonderful atmospheres. Mm-hmm. And I believe I'm correct here. The host of the regionals get to choose when they want to play.
Yeah.
And I know we worry about rain, but hell, it rained for the first game. It rained for the second game. We know it's going to rain anytime we host a regional.
Yeah.
Do you think this is something going forward in the future that we administrators, whether it's Sully that makes the decision, whoever, say, look, if we want to have a home field advantage, we've got to play the late game.
Yeah, I think there'll probably be some of that discussion because, it's been unfortunate really from the get-go with this season in the new ballpark because, obviously had COVID limiting crowds. And then you get to the postseason and, I was like a lot of other people, I expected it to be better maybe than it was. I wasn't expecting 10,000 fans in like Arkansas or anything. That's just not what we've seen here. That's not what we've ever seen. But at the same time, I think just the restrictions on fans throughout the season, I think probably some fans who may have come out certainly were impacted by the noon start. I mean, it's hard. Let's face it. It's hard to get out on a Friday afternoon for most people at noon to watch a baseball game. And then if you're planning to do it the next day at 4, it wrecks your whole schedule. And then going back, so I do think that will be something discussed. And I also think there's probably a segment of the fan base, Shane, that maybe would normally be out there that they weren't able to this year because of the limited attendance. So you probably lost some engagement there. People aren't paying as close as attention to it as they usually do. So those are a couple of thoughts toward why there wasn't a better crowd. But if I had to really just say, well, I mean, I think the worst thing was just the time. I think that was the most important factor in it.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to somehow, with this new beautiful ballpark, get the student body involved. Because when you look at Mississippi State, Arkansas, LSU, Ole Miss, even Tennessee now, the student body is the one that gets the atmosphere crazy.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I went to maybe 2 or 3 games this year. And obviously when I went, it was when there was limited capacity, but it's still, we need some kind of atmosphere at these baseball games. Back to the last game against South Alabama. How long did that 1 inning last, Scott? Was it almost an hour?
It was like, I think 40-some minutes. Yeah, it was one of the longest and weirdest innings I've ever seen, Shane. I mean, I looked it up after it was over, and what's okay? 10 guys stepping to the plate, 10 straight hits. I mean, the major league record is 11, and they've been playing for 150 years.
Wow.
And the American League record is 10. So they tied the American League record to the National League Series. So, I mean, it's just so rare to see something like that. And then, of course, it's 14-1 at the end of that inning. And so the next thing before the rain delay, South Alabama actually hit 3 home runs in that inning, which is totally overshadowed. How often do you see that? So it was just, I mean, it's one of the weirdest games I've ever seen. One of the most surprising performances I see for the Gators, but it was only one game. I mean, it's a cliche, but baseball is that one sport where truly anything can happen. And the next day, it really doesn't matter. Unfortunately, the Gators didn't get a next day, so that was the elimination game for them. Yeah,
it was bizarre, and I don't know if it was that inning, but Judd Fabian's one of the best defensive outfielders we've ever had.
Yeah,
misjudges and drops a pop up, and then I guess it was the inning before when they hit all the home runs. I mean, it looked like it was batting practice, and the ball just kept carrying home run after home run. But it was definitely hard to watch. You probably were there for Sully's presser. I didn't hear anything of it, but did anybody bring up the LSU job?
That wasn't asked immediately after that game. I mean, it was just more about the game and what happened out there. And, he, as Sully always does, I mean, he's always been really good and honest with the media. He's one of the best coaches at UF, I think, in that regard. I know a couple of weeks ago or last week, he addressed it as, just said what a lot of coaches say, hey, I'm the coach of Florida. I can't control what people write. But, right after the loss, Shane, I mean, you immediately saw a couple of college baseball only websites who are plugged into the sport. I mean, they immediately tossed out the story. Hey, here, what's going to happen with Sully? And, my gut feeling now is he's got a lot here to stay for. And, I didn't expect him to leave 2 weeks ago. I don't really expect him to leave now, but at the same time, we both seen how these things work, man. I mean, they can change in a hurry. I just know that what he's done at Florida has been super impressive. I mean, he's the best baseball coach in school history. And they had a bad weekend, but that's certainly not going to damper anything of what they've done during his run. And if LSU, I can see why they'd be interested. I mean, it's a great program. He's a great coach. It's a whole different kind of program than what Sully has here in terms of the type of fan base and stuff. But also, he's shown that he can win at the highest level here, and he has a new park. So, and of course, there's always the family here and all that stuff. But it's going to be interesting.
Yes, it will. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Scott Carter, you can follow him on Twitter at GatorsScott. Some other things on camp. I guess the only sport left right now is track.
That's it, man. With the softball, baseball wrapped up, it's down to track. They're out in Eugene with some athletes competing. It's not a team either on the men or women's side, I think, that will compete for a national championship, but they've got some athletes that have a chance to, medal out there. And then it just put a bow on the 2021 season, which I'm first in line, Shane. I'm kind of ready to wrap this one up, man, kind of decompress and and start over, and hopefully, just for everybody, hopefully have a more fun, I think, next season. As much as there's been a lot of success, obviously the tennis championship is the highlight in terms of the big picture. But as good as football season was on the field until the end, and then on to the other sports, it's just not been the same as we've probably talked about. And I'll be glad when it starts and hopefully be normal in the fall.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's pretty much wrapped up besides a few track events. But on campus, they opened up recruiting, and I don't know if you were part of or talked to any of the recruits on campus. I don't know if you're allowed to do that or what, but it was a big weekend apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was junior day or what, but they had a lot of guys on campus. What do you know? What have you heard? How that went?
I know they've been pretty pleased just from what I've seen on social media. Obviously my role, Shane, I can't get into recruiting specifically about players, but I mean, I was over there today, and here's how I always know recruiting is going on, because outside my office there underneath the stadium, you always get those big SUVs that they rent. So, they've been going to the airport, picking up guys, bringing them to campus. I saw some of a couple of the football staff. I saw them walking guys around as I was leaving last night after the baseball game and finishing the story. I went over to campus. I saw Coach Mullen driving in to meet some guys for his shift kind of late, meets the guys and does his thing with them. You look at what the coaches have been putting on social media and some of the recruits in town. I've seen a couple big names say they plan to come back. So it's that time of year where I think they've called it the summer kickoff barbecue. That's kind of how they've identified this weekend through the recruiting staff. I know they've been planning for it for a while, and I think they have another big one later this month. So it's in their world. This is go time, as they say.
Yeah, the funniest thing to me is when you see those pictures on Twitter. Obviously, the kids are having fun dressed up in the uniforms, but then when they make Coach Mullen get in the picture when he's squatting down and doing all these little poses, I giggle every time I see those. Billy Gonzalez isn't there with them, but that's what you got to do these days.
You and Spurrier didn't do that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think I'd see the head ball coach doing all that, but you never know. You didn't have to do that when he was recruiting people.
Yeah.
Scott, isn't something going on? I think Tuesday with the new football facility or some kind of
they call it a topping off ceremony where they start putting basically the roof on the frame that you've seen if you're over there lately. The frame is just shot up in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So now they're getting to where they're putting some roof on it. And basically it's just a media event or a fan event. I don't know if fans are invited, but I know the media is to kind of document it, just to kind of signal the progress with that facility. I'm amazed at how long the groundwork took for that area. And then to see it really shoot up, because it seemed forever before I saw anything start going into the sky. And now they've got that whole area basically with metal frames. And so, yeah, they do have that Tuesday. I'm sure you'll see plenty on social media and stuff about it.
And I'm trying to, so when are they scheduled to move into that facility?
I know the original timeline was December of this year. I don't know if COVID or any kind of restrictions. I haven't heard that it's been delayed, but I know it's supposed to be right at the end of 2021 or early 2022. So
I think the last time I talked to Scott Strickland, this was before COVID, about the facility. It was like once the kids came back from the bowl trip of the end of this year, they should be moving into that facility. But as you said, with COVID, it may have been delayed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything internally on that lately, but I can just tell you, if you've been around campus lately, or for those who have, I mean, you've noticed a lot of progress lately.
Yeah. So what does Scott Carter do when there are no sports being played during the summertime?
Well, Shane, as you know, man, there is always something going on at UF and in the sports. I mean, not any games, which is unusual because, every year I've been to Omaha now with these guys 7 times. So a lot of times my year extends until basically late June. You take a couple of weeks off, and then by that time you go to SEC media days, and next thing you know, football camps rolled around. So June's going to be a little slower, but I'm going to try to catch up with some of these new football guys. I mean, obviously, the guys who are early enrollees or who are just now getting on campus, flush some of those stories out. I've got some other football stories on my mind that I haven't had time to write. So probably thinking more toward football season. And then there's always stuff where, you just write about, whether it's a feature or some kind of news event there internally that people might be interested in. So yeah, you'll see me. Unfortunately, Shane, I won't be able to just go to the beach for a couple months. I'd like to.
Yeah, before we let you go, speaking of football season, obviously we're closing in on it. A lot of high expectations. Some people say for the Gators, and there's some of the so-called experts out there say Georgia's going to run away with the East. As we sit here today, what does Scott Carter think about this football team?
I like the foundation a lot. I think what Mullen and his staff have done is they've built it to where when you do have a changeover, like you lose a player like Kyle Trask in a lot of years, you're automatically thinking, okay, there's going to be a little bit of a dip. But, they finished 8-4. That was obviously disappointing, 8-4, considering they were 8-1. Could I see them being 8-1 going into the final stretch of the season again? Yeah, I think they have that talent. Obviously, it's a tough schedule. We got Alabama coming in early, so that's going to be the early kind of meter check for me. What they do against Alabama, because I still think until Alabama gets knocked off, I still think they're the kings of the SEC. I like at least 9 wins, and I think they could get into that 10-11 if they play well in those big games. I'm not looking at Georgia as automatically in the SEC, just like I didn't last year. I think those two programs, that gap's closed quite a bit in the last 3 seasons under Mullen. But again, it all happens on those fall Saturdays, man. So right now it's fun to talk about, but I don't. If you ask me, I think they have a chance to be a really good team and contend in the conference.
Yeah, I try to tell everybody, if we lose to Alabama, we still can get to Atlanta.
Sure,
because you control your own destiny. We cannot lose to Georgia, because if you lose to Georgia, you're probably not going to Atlanta.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important. Before we let you go, one last thing. I believe all coaches have been hired now for all the different sports, all the vacancies.
Yep. They got the new soccer coach to replace Becky Burley. And man, this is bad, but his name's going to slip me right now because he's Tony Acosta. So I pulled that out. He's from Arizona. That was obviously a big hire anytime you replace someone who has been there for 25 plus years and started the program. Shane got a good track record, a Florida native, played at Rollins College. It was a really good player. It has had a good coaching career with Arizona being his kind of step up into the Power 5. Did some good things out there. So that was another hire that he's got a big shoes to fill, as they say. But that's a program that has kind of, I guess you can just say, dipped a little bit in the last few years. So he's got a chance to come in there and do something with it and put his own mark on it. And that's the one that was the last hire on my head, top of my head, Shane.
Yep. Well, Scott, let everybody know where they need to go to read all your good work. FloridaGators.com. That's pretty easy to remember, right, Shane? Very easy.
Gators Scott on Twitter. And like I said, probably take a little break here for the next few days, but then get with some of these football guys. And, unfortunately, I get a little disconnected from football with everything else going on. So it's always nice to kind of have the summer to go back and get around those guys and learn the new guys and really get a feel for the team as they kick off, because it's going to be a totally different season for everybody, man. I think we'll see that swamp packed against Alabama for sure, and hopefully even that first game, man, because we haven't had it in a long time.
Yeah, I think it will be packed. I think people will be excited to be able to tailgate and have a good time on campus. Scott, go get some rest, my man. You've been working hard. We appreciate you taking the time to join the program.
Appreciate it, Shane.
That's Scott Carter joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our second time out, come back. We'll wrap up this Monday edition. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank JC and Scott Carter for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Again, guys, I apologize having to take the show. I'm sure you had plenty of questions and comments on Facebook Live and on the text line, Titan MR text line. But we'll be back in the studio live, ready to roll tomorrow. Let's see what else. Make sure you tell all your friends and family to follow us and like us on Facebook and YouTube. You can listen to us on 30 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many other as well. We shall see who's playing in the College Women's World Series. It'll be decided tonight. And other than that, hope you enjoyed the program. Appreciate you joining the show. And make sure you have people follow us. Be safe out there. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.